Hello and welcome to another iPod video. Today I'll be showing you how to install one of these 3000 mAh batteries in an iPod Classic 4th gen. I guess this tutorial will also somewhat apply to the 3rd gen as well, although I haven't tested if there's enough space to fit it in there, but there should be. It's pretty similar design to this one. Yeah, so as you can see, these batteries are originally intended for the iPod Classic 5th, 6th and 7th gens, so they do have a different connector on them. But as you'll see, we can get these working in the 4th gens and probably the 3rd gens as well. So it just does require a couple of extra steps, and it will require a bit of soldering, although it's pretty straightforward. So first things first, we've got to bust open the iPod. So I assume you already know how to do that. Just get a box cutter knife or an iPod opening tool, pry it open, disconnect the headphone jack flex, and this one hadn't been opened up before, so we've got to take out that hard drive. Yeah, so if you do want to do this mod, you will have to replace the hard drive with a slimmer micro SD card adapter or an iFlash or something like that. It won't fit with the original hard drive, obviously, because our new battery will be going in the space where that hard drive went. Yeah, as you can see, this one still has the original battery in it, and it's kind of expanded as well. So first things first, we just got to remove that original battery. So just get out your Torx bit and undo all the screws. Yeah, so there's two versions of the iPod Classic 4th gen. There's the monochrome version and there's the one with the coloured screen. The coloured screen one's also referred to as the iPod Photo. They are slightly different on the inside. The biggest difference is the Photo only has 5 screws instead of 6 screws. So just undo all your screws, and then we'll be able to just pry that old battery out. And yeah, as you can see, this one's pretty expanded here, which is somewhat rare in these iPod Classic 4th gens because these batteries are made out of metal. So it takes a lot more to get them to expand compared to the ones that's in the other iPods. And unclip the battery connector. Yeah, and be careful not to rip that connector off the logic board there. If you pull it too hard, that is possible. Yeah, so in order to do this, what we have to do is pretty much just take those wires off of the old battery and then solder them on to our new battery. So let's do that now. First things first, we've got to start disassembling the old battery, and this can be somewhat dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Obviously, you're not supposed to take the actual cell apart. What we're doing here is just taking the tape off of the BMS part up here, so we can just expose the BMS and then we can remove that. So yeah, just peeling back that tape. If you've got an original battery, it should look pretty much identical to the one I'm using here, although some of the aftermarket ones might look a bit different. Yeah, now you'll see we've got that green circuit board running across the top, and there will be a positive and a negative connection on either side of the board. What I do here in this video, I ended up snipping both those positive and negative connections on the sides of the battery that connect the BMS to the battery, because originally I was planning to completely swap the BMS out on this new 3000 mAh battery as well, but it ended up having solder points just for the wires, so I guess you don't have to take the BMS off the old battery, you can just straight up solder those 3 wires off. Yeah, so as I do here, just bend it off on one side and then come to the other side and bend it off as well. You can just wiggle it back and forward and eventually it'll become brittle and bend off. Although you don't want to touch those 2 sides on the cell, because if you do, it can discharge really quickly and could potentially heat up or catch fire even. So now that we've removed that BMS, just with the old cell, I would just cover that in Captain tape, as I've done here, and now you can dispose of that battery safely. But now over to the 3000 mAh battery. Now we've got to start disassembling this one as well. So first things first, let's just remove the tape, and now we can peel up the BMS on this battery as well. Yeah, and there's 2 types of BMSs that come on these 3000 mAh batteries. This one that I'm showing here, as you can see, it doesn't have the solder joints to run the 3 wires. It's just got the BMS that leads straight into that flex cable. And if you have this one, pretty much you're gonna just have to desolder the entire BMS and figure out how to get the 4th gen BMS onto that cell, which is going to be pretty difficult because, as you can see, the positive and negative positions are quite spread apart. You'd have to either solder on extra wires, or ideally you'd use a spot welder to run some of this material here. I forget what they use, but to wire up those connections, the positive and negative. I wouldn't recommend using one of these batteries to do this mod, to be honest, unless if you want to replace the entire BMS, but again, that's going to be somewhat difficult. But there is another type of 3000 mAh battery that just has the red, white and black leads, the positive, the negative, and I'm not exactly sure what the white wire does. It might monitor the battery level or something like that, but a lot of the iPod batteries have the white wire. I got out another 3000 mAh battery, as you can see, and just peeling back the tape, and yeah, as you can see, this one has just 3 leads, a positive, a negative, and the white wire as well just goes straight in the middle there. Today I'll be using this battery because it's just much easier. We don't have to replace the BMS board itself. We can just straight up desolder that flex cable and then solder on those 3 wires, which is a lot easier than having to replace the entire BMS. Now over to the soldering iron to do that. So first things first, we have to desolder this old flex cable, the one for the classic 5th, 6th and 7th gens. So just get some flux, put it over the solder joints, and get out your soldering iron and then just remove it. And now we can grab those 3 wires off of the classic 4th gen battery BMS. Yeah, so as you can see here, there's a bit of a protective coating on top of these 3 wires. So before you desolder them, just get out your tweezers and scrape a bit of that stuff off first, because otherwise it'll gunk up the solder when you go to take it off. But yeah, as you can see, just desoldering those 3 wires there, and now we can hook this up to the battery. And if you don't know where to put the wires, you can just copy what I do in the video, but I'm pretty sure it's labelled as well on the BMS of this battery. It says P+, that's your positive, that goes to red, and P- is your negative for the black wire, and then the white one just goes in the middle. But if yours looks slightly different or you don't know how to figure it out, like if it's not labelled or something, you can just use a multimeter to measure which wire does what. Yeah, and you obviously want to be somewhat careful when you're bringing a soldering iron this close to the battery. You know, you don't want to hold it there too long and heat up the cell, or you don't want to accidentally poke a hole in the battery, because I don't know, that could be somewhat dangerous, I guess. So yeah, after we've soldered that on, probably just get some isopropyl alcohol on a cotton bud and just wipe off any extra residue that's been left behind. And now we can just put that battery back together. So putting that bit of tape back over, and now we can just fold that whole BMS back into position as it was originally. Oh yeah, and I wasn't sure if the wires would be long enough as well, because this is the first time I'm doing this mod, but yeah, they ended up being long enough. Now just grabbing some Captain tape, and we can use that to tape it up so that thing doesn't flap back out. Alright, now just to install this all back in the iPod, and we'll test if it works. Oh yeah, before I put it in, I just got out the multimeter and double checked all the connections just to make sure that everything was correct. Because if you did accidentally wire it up wrong, you could end up frying something on the logic board. So it's always good to double check these things. So yeah, first things first, I just screwed everything back in. Yeah, I wouldn't run that wire under the logic board again, because that just makes it a big hassle if you ever have to take the iPod apart again. So just screw the logic board back in, plug your battery in, and give it a test fit. Yeah, and luckily the 3000 mAh battery fits just perfectly in this iPod. If it was any wider, it mightn't fit at all, but yeah, as you can see, it fits just into place there. Almost as if it was designed for it. And yeah, now I just plug the original hard drive in just to give it a test boot, even though I will be installing a compact flash card in this iPod. Oh yeah, and one thing about the classic 4th gens is if you don't have that headphone jack flex assembly plugged in, it defaults to the lock position. So if you click the buttons, it's not going to do anything. If you want to click the buttons, you got to plug the headphone jack flex back in as well, which can be a bit fiddly if you're just trying to test it out. Yeah, and I ended up having to muck around with this iPod a bunch before I ended up getting it working, unfortunately. But that's just iPods for you. I'm not sure if I got all that on camera, but I think the logic board for the first one I did didn't end up actually working. So I think I just ended up grabbing a logic board from another one. Either that or I had to reformat the SD card or something. I remember something took me a very long time to fiddle around with on this iPod. What I ended up putting in instead of the original hard drive was one of these mini IDE, I think, to CF adapters. and then just the iFlash compact flash adapter with a 64GB micro SD card, and that ended up fitting perfectly. Although I must say, in order to do this mod, you will have to be using the thick rear housing, as the thin rear housing I think came on the 20GB models, maybe even 15GB models on this one, is a little bit thinner, as you can see here from the comparison. Just make sure you have one of the thicker backplates if you want to do this mod. It might actually be possible with the thin backplate. You might just have to figure out how to reduce the size of some of the other components. I think there's a lot of dead space on that hard drive connector, like it sticks out a bit, so you might be able to cut that down. I don't know. I didn't actually try and test it out with the slim back. I just put it up next to it and knew that it probably wasn't going to fit. Yeah, and I would recommend using some double-sided tape on the back of the compact flash drive just to hold the whole thing in place, because yeah, those can actually fall out on the classic 4th gen. If you drop it or something, you can get the whole compact flash drive just falling out the bottom, so just put some double-sided tape down to prevent that from happening. But yeah, after you restore it with iTunes and boot it back up, now you can see it all works. Yeah, and if you are planning on doing this mod, I would recommend getting one of these Firewire chargers, because they seem to charge the 3000 mAh batteries a lot better in this 4th gen here. When I plugged in the 30 pin, it looked like it wasn't charging at all, or it might have just been charging really slowly. But then when I switched over to the Firewire, it got to 100% pretty quickly. So yeah, the Firewire chargers, they are more powerful. They do charge the device quicker. Yeah, if you do use an iPod, a Firewire charger can be a decent investment, although they are kind of expensive and pretty rare to come across these days. So if you do have the option to pick one up, I would pick one up if you're using an iPod regularly, especially in a 4th gen with a 3000 mAh battery like I've shown you here today. But obviously if you do that, you can't do the USB-C mod, so that's the only downside of that. Yeah, and those chargers also do work on the 5th, 6th and 7th gens, and they do charge those a bit faster as well. Yeah, would definitely recommend picking one of those up. Yeah, a slightly better way to do this mod would be to replace the entire BMS as well, as I sort of stated earlier, although that will increase the difficulty a little bit. And if you do plan on doing that, ideally you would have a spot welder as well, because putting your soldering iron to the battery cell directly is somewhat frowned upon, because heat can sort of kill the battery. It mightn't fully destroy it, but it might significantly reduce the battery life if you heat the cell up too much with the soldering iron. I've done it in the past, as I've shown in some of my TikToks, and from my experience it didn't seem to affect it that much. If you have a good soldering iron, like one of these ones with the T12 tips where the heating element's in the tip, you might be able to get away with using a soldering iron opposed to a spot welder, because those tend to heat up a lot quicker and you'll be able to just get in, solder it and take the soldering iron off before the cells had a chance to heat up. But yeah, ideally, if you were to go that route of replacing the entire BMS, you would also have a spot welder. But as I said, it's kind of not practical on this model, just due to how spaced out those solder joints are on the 4th gen BMS originally. Yeah, I just do it using the BMS that comes built in with the 3000 mAh battery, because as you can see, it was a lot easier, just 3 wires, you know. Yeah, and if you are planning on upgrading your iPod Classic with a new battery and a SSD or a SD card hard drive, I'd definitely recommend installing a much larger capacity battery as well, because the whole experience is just so much better. With a battery like this, the iPod's going to last probably about a week of continuous playback. I haven't tested that, but I did test a iPod Classic 5th gen with an iFlash Solo and a 2000 mAh battery, and it was either 4 or 5 days of just continuous playback. It had like 160 gigs of music on it, and I just pressed play, and the iPod pretty much, it played through the entire music library. And when I came back after like 4 days or 5 days of that entire music library being played through, the iPods don't tell you percentage, but it was on the red bar at the bottom after like 4 or 5 days of playing music continuously. And that was only a 2000 mAh battery. So the 3000 mAh battery will be even better than that, probably a week of continuous playback. That was on the 5th gen, the 4th gen might consume more power, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just a much better experience than using the 20-year-old battery that was in there originally, or even the aftermarket batteries that are the same size. Because batteries, you know, they're hard to manufacture. A standard size battery probably not going to last as long as the iPod did out of the box. this stage I've bought pretty much all the aftermarket batteries you can for these iPods, because I've been doing this for like 5 or 6 years now, so I've been through a lot of different suppliers, and after all that, what I can say is, if you can put a 2 or 3000 milliamp hour battery in these, you definitely should, because it's just a much better experience compared to a standard sized battery. The normal aftermarket ones never seem to last as long as they did originally from the factory. So yeah, with the 2 or 3000 milliamp hour battery in one of these things, you pretty much won't have to think about battery life. You'll be charging it probably once every 2 weeks if you're using your iPod every day. If you don't even use your iPod every day, then even less than that. Yeah, anyways, I hope you found that useful. I hope you were able to get one of these batteries and upgrade your iPod Classic 4th Gen. I think there is a guy who's actually selling these on eBay. I'm not sure if he's just buying these manufactured like that, or if he's actually doing this mod to the batteries himself, but I think you can find these online. I might start selling them as well. I'll ask my supplier if they make them, and if they don't, then I'll just make them myself, I guess. I hope you liked the video. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. Check us out on TikTok, Instagram. We made a Facebook page as well, which is getting 0 traction. So if you use Facebook and you want to follow us there, go and check that out. And if you want to buy any iPod parts, just check out my website, partspluspods.com.au. I sell quite a big range of iPod parts, as well as these Bluetooth upgrade kits, which are pretty popular as well for the classic 5th, 6th and 7th gens. I might sell a 4th gen upgrade kit as well in the future, I don't know. Depends if I can get my hands on the parts just as easily as I can with the 5th gens. And yeah, I'll have a link in the description as well to buy the 3000 mAh battery if you want to attempt this mod yourself. So yeah, thanks for watching, see you next time, bye.